Hello. Today is the 18th of this experiment. Today is 19th of August. And I keep doing this. I think I'm gonna finish the month actually. I don't know if this has taught me anything. It's like, I can be very thoughtful and have deep and interesting conversations even though I don't plan anything, which is good to know. But also like trying to stop with this psychological barrier of like not planning, not getting ready, even not getting properly maybe dressed up or hair and everything, and just press record and see what happens. Today I went to the office, so probably a bit more presentable than yesterday. But actually a bit tired today, but let's see what comes up today. I don't know if I'm gonna be creative or not, but I'm actually can talk about a post that I'm creating on Instagram. It's like probably I'm not very creative at the moment, but just this idea just came up to my brain right now. I'm creating a post around the power of perspective and how in the same day I can be judged so differently by different people, even contrary views. So I will be posting it probably tomorrow, but it is about like labels, like how can you be easily, your mood can be easily down or feeling low because you assign yourself these labels because maybe someone told you that you are selfish, or someone told you that you are very talkative, or someone told you talkative in an annoying way, because this has happened to me. Because I talk a lot, of course, but at the same time some people like listening to me and my ideas, and they could be listening for hours, and I've already proven that. So it's just, of course there are circumstances and different moments when I can be annoying, or I can be, one moment in time where I am perceived a bit selfish. But you need to understand that it's different, like a behavior than the person. When someone calls you are rude, this is actually labeling you as a person and not saying that X behavior was rude to them, or it was perceived as rude or something like that, a bit more soft. When they say to you that you are annoying, or you are selfish, or you are who do you think you are, and things like that, with the verb to be, with you are, it's kind of quite an attack. It's kind of harsh criticism in this sense, because this is a person's judgment, and that was my very point on the Instagram post. Like, a person's judgment doesn't necessarily define you. I mean, it's their judgment, so it's a judgment that they create in themselves. So it's a construct, a sentence, an idea, a concept that they create in themselves based on their circle of reference, their framework in their mind, their concepts, their definitions, their internal labels, biases, the background of this person. Maybe this person has been all their life around people who don't put boundaries, imagine, at all, like zero boundaries. And then suddenly they come across with you and they call you they call you selfish just because you put a couple of boundaries, and boundaries in an assertive way. I mean, like saying this has hurt me, whatever, or I won't talk this way if you keep whatever. Not in an attack way, just protecting your energy and peace. But oh my god, what am I doing? Woo. Okay, right back. But it's very dependent on how this person has been living, or how this person is, and how this person circle is, and their background. So it's not kind of you need to take these judgments with a pinch of salt. And also, if you want to dig deeper because you feel there is something that resonates with you in this judgment because you feel hurt about it, there may be something within yourself that still believes it to a certain extent. So you can dig deeper and understand, like, who is the person giving you this, this judgment, this statement, this perspective. Like, is this person, like, a person that puts boundaries? For example, in the example of being selfish and putting boundaries. Is this person a person that feel that it's okay or allow themselves to put boundaries themselves? Is a person that believes that everyone, can do whatever with them? So kind of, is a person that protects their energy. You need to analyze these things to actually understand where this judgment comes from. Also, checking with yourself why this judgment still bothers you. Like, do you really believe a part of you is being selfish in this sense? Or do you think you've changed and that, you can still have some, rests of these beliefs that you hold in the past? But you need to realize also, that's why the perspective point of my Instagram post, you need to realize when you change your circle or even you change your country, city, I've lived in 4 or 5 different countries, 3 countries, but 4 or 5 different cities throughout my life. And, I have different friends from all over the world, like different backgrounds, different religions, different, backgrounds totally different. I mean, you can imagine, like. So, based on all my experience and changing friendships and changing circles and, I came to the realization that I can have exactly, I can have exactly the contrary judgment from different people, depending on how they are themselves. So you are not you are not like, you are not tall. Imagine something very, very understandable by anyone, like being tall. Being tall in reference to what? That would be my question, because of course, in in your framework, in your city, in your circle, you talk like this. You say, "Oh, he's tall, he's short, he's clever, he's rude." But there is always a reference. There is always a point of reference to which you are referring to. So if you're saying he's tall, it's probably because his surroundings are like people who are shorter, or maybe the average height in its region, in its culture, is always like a reference. So you are always X characteristic or X personality trait in reference to another thing. So when something that used to annoy me in the past, now it doesn't bother that much anymore. It's like when I started to change and started to put boundaries, people weren't used to that. So it's like the selfish was a thing that I got told I was. But then now it doesn't bother me that much, because it's like, they are used to now, these people, or either I filter them out of my life, or now they are used to and they understood what it comes from. But it used to bother me, like being called selfish, just because I was protecting my energy and putting boundaries, compared to what I was doing like right before, who was like just being overly, giving to everyone else, like regardless of how I was feeling, not protecting my energy, very like people pleasing stuff. And people don't want to admit it, but being a people pleaser is actually, I used to be like that. I'm not, judging or anything in this sense, but being a people pleaser comes from, the fear. Comes from fear of not being, chosen in a sense. So when you step into your own power and put boundaries and protect your energy in a storage again. I need to remind myself every time because I keep forgetting. Today probably is not my best day, in terms of mental capacity, but we'll keep going. So what I was saying, like, even though people pleasing, you can do it, in discrete moments in time. But if you are overly people pleasing people, it comes from more from your fear, and also is kind of your ego trying to protect you, to feel chosen, to feel loved by others, and you are trying to, to get from them some kindness and energy instead of just, being anchored in yourself, giving when you are genuinely wanted to give them, and protect yourself as well, because when you truly take care of yourself and love yourself, you truly take care of others and love others without, taking from them in a sense. But when you are always 100% 24/7 people pleasing everyone, you're coming from lack, and then others feel that, and you're trying so hard to be chosen, and probably you're not chosen. So that's definitely not the path I would recommend. So yeah, when I started to put boundaries, I was coming across as selfish, and it's just because people weren't used to that new version of me. So there is some transition, period that needs to happen when you are changing. But then you need to understand that what people say about you say more about them. It says more about them than it says about you, because these are sentences, you express sentences, and they, from their mouth. I know it sounds very simple, but it's true. It's like they created them in their mind. They, not strategize, but what's the word? They, develop an understanding of, with their filters, their biases, their context, and then they said that. Maybe there is some truth on that if you haven't looked at yourself and if you are not self-aware of your traits. That's the opportunity for you to dig deeper and try to understand if there is something, if that, if that judgment or criticism bothers you. Definitely there is something within that you need to look at it. Maybe because you haven't been self-aware enough and you are potentially a little bit like that, or maybe because it still hurts you, and there is something from the past that hurts you, as I was saying with the selfish and people-pleasing example. But other times, when someone says to you something and it doesn't bother you, you need to understand, okay, this opinion is not applicable, Or sometimes even if it bothers you a little bit because you are too attached to what other people think of you. You need to, do this analysis, understand where this judgment or this perspective or this opinion comes from, and do some critical thinking whether you have some part in it, or it's just the other person and this judgment or opinion is not applicable to you, because not every feedback, every opinion, every criticism is applicable to you. You don't need to get all of them, like, I take on criticism or positive feedback very well, or negative feedback very well. Well, you take negative feedback if it's applicable to you, but if it's something related to the person who is speaking and more about their fears, more about their biases, more about their, context, and you are analyzing this feedback and you feel rooted within yourself that you are not what these people is saying, you need to go with that and don't accept that criticism. Just, accept that the person will be saying that, but don't take it to heart because it's not you. So that is perspective. That is, the power of understanding that you take part on it, but the other people, when they say things, they take part on it. So take anything, whether it is like good things, bad things, with pinch of salt, depending of who's the source that is saying these things to you. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Hope it helps.